moderators can support your channel in even more ways. Introducing managing moderators. These users have the same capabilities as standard moderators, but in addition, they can manage blocked words and change chat modes in live. Okay, cool. Okay. Let's find out more about lives. This is my second live on my YouTube. I got a thumbs up. That's cute. This is my second live on YouTube. And oh wait, I want to learn more, but I'll close this out. What happens if I click learn more though? I'm live again. Okay, I'm done fucking around. I'm done fucking around. Okay, so like I said, this is my second live, and I'm really here. Hi, I don't know who you are yet, and I'm gonna figure out how to work buttons so that I can greet you as well. Hold on, let me see. Is it this one? It doesn't show me. I'm on my phone, so we're gonna work through this. But let me say some stuff. Hi, my name is Gaia. It's wonderful to meet you if you've never seen me before. I am very pleased to be here in my body and in my body, my soul, and my spirit, right? In the state of mind that I'm in right now. I'm 37 years old. I am on this planet trying to find as much liberation and freedom as I possibly can. And sometimes that comes out in forms that make people very, very uncomfortable. And I'm okay with making people uncomfortable because I am always living in discomfort. And I just find that to be the best ways to challenge myself and to change. Hi. Oh wait, people are talking. Hi. Mixer, I see you in here too. I see, is it Hiren? I think so. Chow Han, I see you. Hi. Thank you so much. You gotta catch me on a day when I'm really putting my energy into it. Right now, I literally rolled out the bed early this morning. I got up at 7, but I washed my face. I didn't do anything else though. I brushed my teeth, but that's it. Okay, so I'm gonna get more into that in just a second. But first, let me make my introduction. Don't think that I am ignoring you just because I'm not acknowledging your words in the moment. I always try to come back to the comments when I'm done with my thoughts. But one of the things that I think that you guys will enjoy about me, if you grow to enjoy me, that's a choice, right? I'm learning a lot about choices now. You have a choice to either learn more about me and take this as our introduction and recognize whether or not you want more of this energy, or if you need a different type of energy in your life, right? That's all relationships are. We meet each other. You say, dang, I really like that person. Like, oh, I want to be around that person more. How can I prioritize that person into my life? And now that I'm prioritizing you, this is the exchange that I'm getting from you and that I'm asking back, right? That's all relationships are. It's the open, verbal, emotional contract of the ebb and flow of life, right? That's the relationship. You're giving and you're receiving to and from a version of yourself that is able to present a little bit differently for you, okay? All right, boom. So I'm learning a lot about relationships because my life is surrounded in relationships, right? Not just because of what I do for a living, but because I'm a human being and I interact with people on the planet, as do you. So these conversations that I'm saying ain't just for me. Obviously, I'm saying them for me to acknowledge them and take responsibility as you listen. But overall, what I really think is happening is I have to say this as an echo for the people who are stuck in these same vibrations that I'm currently stuck in. Oof. And with that comes a lot of shedding of truth. And sometimes that scares people. And for me, I don't think I'm scared ever of telling my truth. I think that what I do hold back in is trying to make sure that I'm not so raw with it that the people who are involved feel like I'm attacking them. But sometimes when you have to like dig into your body and find out like what's going on with you, you have to paint pictures. Sometimes people start off being painted as the good guy, and into the story they might shift a little bit, and that person might not be the good guy so much at the end, or at least the intention of why they shift is more understandable, right? So I recognize that, and I recognize that I'm not always gonna be the good person in my narrative. Like I can tell my story to where I can acknowledge when I'm wrong and when I'm at fault. So I don't feel the hesitation in releasing my truth. I feel the hesitation in other people feeling like I'm trying to expose their truth. But today I felt like I was put in a position where I felt like someone felt like they were going to have to expose my truth, and I had to ask myself, am I hiding from this? Is this something I'm hiding from? I don't feel that at all. So I'm here because I want to get into that. But again, my name is Gaia. I currently live in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I've been here for 2 years in December. In December, on December 5th, I turned 37 years old. I moved from Las Vegas, Nevada 2 years ago. I moved out of a working, loving home space that I was building with intention, but I recognized that this was a space where relationships just weren't what I thought that they were, because maybe I wasn't who I thought I was, right? That's what I'm learning the most right now. I'm learning in what ways I don't see myself that other people see me. And that gives you a lot of space to have to be responsible for yourself. So I'm actively choosing to stay responsible with myself in all my relationships and how they impact people. I don't want to be the person who impacts people and they have to deal with those feelings, and I never give them an opportunity to have the conversation with me, so I take responsibility in how that was acknowledged. I've had so many of those relationships with people that I don't want to keep being that person if I've ever been that person. So, anyway, I'm in the adult entertainment industry. I've been in this industry for 10 years, and in that industry, I've been fighting. I've been fighting everybody because I feel like that's what you have to do when you put your body on the line, when you put your heart on the line, when you put your passion on the line. You are ready to kill everything for it. And I feel like that has translated to a lot of y'all, which is why y'all fuck with me right now. I'm able to translate that in my body and in my spirit. And I can wake things up in people. I know that about me. But sometimes people don't want you to wake things up. Sometimes they don't want that. And I have to learn when to shut the fuck up and go sit down and sit in the corner. Anyway, my birthday, December 5th. Been in the industry for 10 years. I started in camming. I started as a cam model in a studio, a camming studio called the Peach Palace. It was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it changed my life. There's a long story to that, and I think I talk about it in The Truth. I have a bunch of videos. Y'all could just scroll down. It's called The Truth is the playlist. And I go in about that shit. So anyway, I started in the cam studio. It was a lot of women. It was like 50 women. Only women were camming in that studio from ages of 18 to, I want to say 60, maybe a little older. I'm not even sure. I was there for 2.5 months. And when I first got there, I was terrified. I started off as a cam model, and in this studio, it was more like a warehouse. The front of the building had like the front space where it was very office, and it was a front desk, and you go to the back, and that's the managerial office. But then there's a double door, and once you go through that double door, that's where the shit really, you start to recognize, like, oh, this is not a regular workplace. This is not a normal job. You walk in and it's just naked women, lingerie. It's just twerking, laughing, bitches screaming about where's my shoes. And I'm just like walking in there, like, but at the same time, for some people, this would be overwhelming and like scary, or like a lot of just a lot of energy. But I'm in a space where I feel related, right? I'd go dance in the past. My mom was a stripper. Like, I grew up in a house where there were women, so we were fighting over shoes. Like, this is not, I can understand what is happening in this space. So you go through the double doors, it's the women getting ready. It's like preparation space, right? Where they've got mirrors on one side, all the shit for whatever you got to do. You got your bathroom. You got an area where if you need to sit down and eat, there's tables. There's a back area where you can go outside for the girls who had to smoke. You got a fridge if you want to bring like a little alcohol, whatever your little vice is or whatever. So that's the community area behind the office space. Then you go into another set of double doors, and when you go through those double doors, that's where all of the shit pop. You hear me? So that's where I walk in, and it's just a bunch of like almost translucent, but not really. They're like thicker curtains. I don't know the material off rip, but like, or off top of my head, but you walk through, but it's all these just like black curtains, but they're, I want to find a material where you can understand it. But anyway, it's like maybe a space that's like about 6 feet wide, and then no, maybe 6 feet in length,
And then in width, I want to say maybe 4 feet, right? And so through these doors, it's like maybe 30 of those set up, maybe 25 of those set up in that area. And in every one is like a couch, some form of a like a love seat couch or something like that, right? Or a futon or something like that. And then it's just tables where all of the desktops are set up with the keyboards and the fluorescent lights that were on the side, on the left and the right, and I think maybe one on the top, right? You got your desktop, you got your mouse, you got the modem, all that shit underneath it. Your webcam is set on top, right? And then it's like sitting on this like desk that kind of moves around and floats a little bit. So the whole setup of that is all through this. Hi. All through this area where that is happening, there's women in every single one of those spaces, and these women are having conversations just like this. That's why I'd be like, ooh, I don't want to get into it right now. Okay, listen. They're talking to people just like this, but the motivation is different, right? The motivation isn't just like you getting to know me for curiosity. This is designated to sexual gratification, right? In this space, that's what we're doing. That's what camming is. You have the option. It doesn't mean that that's gonna happen, because a lot of my sessions, it wasn't that. It was this. Y'all getting to know me and me showing you that I'm interested in you, and let's talk more shit about this, right? That's why I love that space so much, because before I had this, I was able to do it there, and I could be as explicit and as raunchy as I wanted to. And it's like, but here I'm a little limited with that. So, you give and take or whatever, broader audience, So in these spaces where boom, it's the girls that are just like in these rooms, and I could hear moaning going on, and I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy. Immediately I'm stepping into a space, and it's just these girls that are fucking just, I can't do it here. I can't do it here. Stop. Okay. So I'm walking through and kind of like not shook, but like curious and like a little bit like, how the fuck did I end up here, right? And I'm walking through it, and I'm just trying to take it in and be like, well, what is actually happening? What can I pull out of this? So in some rooms I hear girls laughing and like giggling, like, oh, you like this? And in some rooms I hear girls that are just like super disrespectful. Like it's just super disrespectful. The conversations that are happening. I walk around in rooms where girls are incredibly submissive. I'm walking around the rooms where the women are more like, I can tell that they don't care. Like, it's just twerk. There's just ass in the camera. They just twerking ass, and they don't give a fuck about what he's talking about. So it's just, I'm walking through this like area while there's a manager in my ear, like, okay, so this is the setup, and this is what we do, and you can start at this price, and then if you do this, then you can, and he's like breaking down all the percentages and shit like that. I get into percentages in another video too, but percentages was blah. But it was good because I never experienced what I got when I got my payouts. You feel me? So it's like, people talk percentages sometimes, but it's like people accept a low percentage when the payout is more than you've ever seen before. So it's like, I'll just give you the example. My percentage that I got from that studio was 18% of my total earnings, right? I only made 18% of my total earnings, but in that 18% of my total earnings, my first check, it was like almost $1,000. And I was working as a manager in a Hilton as a restaurant manager, and I was not making that in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, I wasn't doing that. So it's like, when you go into those spaces of why would people ever put themselves at that time, that's when I recognized what my options were. I chose the one that served me. You feel me? I chose the one that I felt like if I do this, I'd be selling myself less. When I was at that Hilton, the fucking energy and the creeps that I had to deal with, at least in this space, I was able to dictate if I wanted to deal with a creep today and what type of energy he was allowed to provide me. But that's what I was learning when I started to get into this space of camming, right? It was like the mental shift of how available I made my spirit and my servitude of people in my vanilla life. Like, I was signing up to these spaces and accepting these jobs or these gigs or these like positions and relationships, and I don't think I fully understood the power dynamic, right? You don't really understand power dynamics until you play with them. How could you know if you don't play with them? That's everything. That's what we talk about, right, in my sessions. How do you know what you like if you've never tried it? And I love that right now I'm in a situation where there's a woman who's asking me that, and I feel like, bitch, who are you talking to? And why am I still here? Do I like this treatment? Do I like it? So with that being said, Boom, I'm in the okay, I talked about percentages, the studio. Do I need to go heavy into the studio? Not really. I just want to acknowledge that I started off as a cam model. That's how I got so popular with most of you. Originally, I'm from Detroit, Michigan. What up, though? However, I live right now in Playa del Carmen. I lived in California for several years of my life. I lived in Las Vegas for several years of my life, but I have throughout that lived in Detroit. So, with that, I talked about living in Playa. I originally was a cam model. I moved into content creation solo initially, but then I started to do partner work with Julius, aka Black Dick Matters. I'm sure if you've seen any of my work, you've seen that man as well. He's incredible, and he's been my partner for 12 years. This month we celebrated 12 years together. However, I've known him since I was like, I want to say 19, 20 years old, right? We both grew up in the city of Detroit. I met him. He was a photographer. I was modeling a lot. I was trying to figure out like what to do with my energy, the sex energy, the muse energy, the need to exude and express. I was trying to figure that shit out. He was in that space because he was trying to figure out how to use it for himself. So boom, we meet. Initially, you know, it's just like, oh, you cool, you cool. I knew that he was vibing me, but I don't know. I was just like, I don't know. So we ended up coming back around. That's how shit works, right? When the time was right, and the time was right, and we have not been apart pretty much ever since. I got a lot of evidence to show how much we care about each other and in what ways we can express that. But also, there's a lot of evidence in what ways we care and express towards each other that I can't show y'all because we don't. I think that that's another thing that you have to recognize when you're building relationships, whether it's in the adult entertainment industry or whether it's for your community or whether it is for, I don't know. People build relationships for all types of reasons. But what I do know is in order for me to get stronger in my relationships, I need time in private to figure that shit out where I don't feel like I'm overexposing myself. And I'm not saying that y'all put me in positions to where I feel like I have to overexpose myself. Nah, that's my job on this planet, this life, is to talk about that shit. Like, I gotta talk about it. And I'm also showing that I'm about it. I'm showing that I can be about it, right? And usually in showing that I can be about it is where I find out if I need more work on that part. Like, is that part completely developed? Is that part still struggling? So you know who I am a little bit. You know what I do. You know about my primary relationship. You know about, what do you know about? Okay. I think that's a general setup. Because I've been camming and because I'm very informative like this and I have conversations with y'all like this, not fighting over shoes, shut up. Because I'm very informative like this, I feel like I connect with people a lot. So in that, I've definitely done a lot of mentoring for people as well. So in that, I've done a lot of collaborations, and I feel like those are all the things that if you go through all of my work, you will find those things. But I don't have to talk about them too in depth right now. What I will say is, because of the relationships that I've built while I've been doing this, I think that people, I'm learning how to make things about myself. I recognize that I can give off the perception to some people because of what I do that the relationships that I build on camera or I'm showing on camera are not real. But for me, the reason why I love what I do and I'm able to do it the way I have been is because I'm choosing not to take the easy route. I'm choosing to intentionally show people that relationships on camera can exist and it doesn't have to be completely skewed for the views. I don't want that. I want to show reality because it's hard. It's hard to find people who don't want to act. And I want to show me in those spaces where I know I don't have to act for this. I could just throw up the energy and see what I can transmute about that. So ooh, that's nice. Shake that shit off. I am learning how to move in a space where I have an additional partner, right? For the first time in my life, I am fully trying to accept that to the best of my ability.
It has mostly been me and Julius for the extensiveness of our relationship. And I think that um, when we were in Vegas, we tried it out with another person where I felt like she was interested initially. Um, and and I know I was too, and I felt Julius be interested as well, but I also felt the me needing more. Um, but I also felt me say, I can suppress that feeling of needing more in order to help these people that I love grow. So I suppressed that part. I turned that part down in me, and I was like, "Let me try to help this." And in that, I know that that was my fault. That was my miscalculation, right? Because I did it anyway, even though intuition said, "Don't do that. You don't want that for real." I was like, "But I can still do it. I know I can help." And it's like, just because you can help an assignment does not mean it's your assignment. I should know that. I should know that. I didn't listen. Stupid. And I went through it anyway. And at the end of it, I had to recognize that I did want more. And I don't know if she was in a position to be that big with me. I don't think she wanted to be that big. I think that she wanted stability and like a husband. I know she wanted a husband. I know she wanted kids. I wasn't going to get at her. And Julius wasn't either, because that's not where we were in our relationship. So, oh, poor baby. Poor all of us, such babies. I think that in that I tried to open up, but because it didn't go the way that I would have hoped, I think it also shut me down, because that was also happening simultaneously with other relationships that were sexual that I had that were crashing. All of the relationships I had built were just crashing at the same time. But it's because in ways I wanted more, and I just kept showing up to show up for people who weren't ready to go up with me. So in ways I could see how I self-sabotaged that myself. And I love that for me. I love that I did that, but I hate that I was not in a position to avoid it. I'm so stupid. Okay. All right. See what I'm saying? I'll break it down for myself. I'll re-review it later. I love me too. I feel me too. But listen, let me get back into it. Currently, because of that, I feel like I have been fighting with a lot of me growing up, right? Like, since I've been in Mexico, one of my biggest goals has been to heal. And I have been healing. I think one of the major things that I healed from was this savior complex that I definitely have been wearing. Like, about I have to help everybody. But I also recognize that in my past, spaces of conditioning had happened to where I normalized having to show up for people. I normalized that, just like we all have to normalize it. When you got a single parent and you got hella brothers and sisters and you the older one, you already know what that struggle is. So it's like there's parts where I've just learned to show up to make sure that like shit stayed stable. So, whew, in doing all of that, you create spaces where you don't really ask yourself for permission if you want this, or if this is good for you, or if you have capacity for this. You just start to accept it. You just start to say yes before you even consider it. You're like, all right, I could do that. So you normalize it, right? It's desensitizing your ability to think otherwise. That's why sometimes it's really hard for parents to be completely helpful in decision-making processes when they have that type of narrative on you. So in that though, I recognize that that's something that I've grown with, and that's something that I had to change. So when I got here, getting out of that savior complex mode was important to me, to the point where I got into it with my sisters. Like, me and my sisters was arguing. We kind of don't talk right now because of it. And it's mostly because I felt obligated to help them. Our dad died some years back, and they were like 16 when it happened. And I recognized that they had, like, we weren't in a position to take them in, but they had an uncle in California with like this beautiful house that was going to do it, and an uncle in Baltimore that was like, they can stay with me. Like, so it was like,
It just, they separated eventually, but then when they got back together and then we all started to hang out with each other more when money started to flow, I felt those relationships build, but I also felt like me taking on like the bill of it, like the like literal ticket of it. And at times I think that what I didn't realize I was doing, shout out to my Puerto Rican mother and shout out to my Venus in Capricorn. What I didn't realize I was doing was like, sometimes like I was kind of like playing with the money. Like I was kind of like, oh, this is a thing that I got accused of today and yesterday, I think Julia said this to me yesterday, where sometimes people feel like I lure traps. And and I'm gonna search my body to make sure I'm not being a conniving bitch with this. But I don't feel like the intention is the trap. I think my intention is always initially like really, really good. Like it's like I know that people don't have the money to do this stuff, but I want to see them. But I know that if I'm gonna do it, I don't want to do it at like this level down here. I want to do it to where I'm comfortable. Like, but then I have to make sure that everyone who's around is that level of comfortable. So it's just like it just puts me in a position to say yes again. And since okay, great. It put me in a position to say yes again. And because I've had all of this conditioning of saying yes without having to argue to it, I'm tracking my ass right now. I'm on my ass. So sometimes when I do that and I say yes to the bill and I really know it's like, nah, nigga, I need that energy back and y'all not about to give it to me. Like, it's one thing if I'm paying for a ticket for somebody and we about to get lit together, but y'all my sisters. So like, I can't do that. In fact, I would like for y'all to go do something else. So, but anyway, in these spaces where I say yes or things like that, I can see where my sister yelled at me. She's like, I feel like you have a savior complex. And I was like, you know what, bitch? I might have one. But in that, I really do have to check in with that because she wasn't the first person to say it. It was this girl, and I'm gonna do my best not to acknowledge names in this one because I'll be laying people's names in, and it's because again I'm that raw and I'm not ashamed of who has gone off on me. Please, I'm gonna give you your credit when it sticks. When you say something, when you can insult me. And it's not even an insult, that's my ego. Let me get out of that real quick. When you could say something and it impresses me to the point where I have to refer back to it years later, I'm grateful. I have gratitude for that. Like, I'm so grateful for the people who confronted me and argued with me for the things that they believed in. Because it really put me in a position to challenge, like, if my narrative was wrong. Like, am I wrong for this? Nah, bitch, you ain't wrong either. So that's another thing that happens. The constant reminder, several things can be true at the same time, right? So it's like, I can accept the fact that some people just don't agree with me and their belief of why they don't agree with me is completely valid for their lifestyle and who they are in this moment. And the same for me, on them. So breaking up with my sisters wasn't just I don't want to say breaking up like that because they my bitches, and if at any moment they call me, they already know I'm picking up the phone. It's just really like a break. I've never, and this is I don't want to lean back. Are you gonna move? Let me think about this. My mom's Puerto Rican and my dad is black. My mom is originally from the Bronx, New York, and my father's from Baltimore, Maryland. They met in Detroit, Michigan. I was conceived there with my siblings. My father was a Marine. My mom was the youngest and also like kind of like the grown nigga of the group. My grandmother was, I don't think, was she born? My grandmother was born in Puerto Rico. So, but that's a long story. I don't gotta get into that either. I said that to say there's a lot of pride shit that goes on with like the women side of my life that I recognize that like I deal with is like I don't know if you've ever met Puerto Rican women, but there is a fire in these bitches that sometimes is so sexy and sometimes so jarring and aggravating and almost pulls out the murderer in you. Trust me, I live with me. I live with me. So I recognize that I have a lot of like prideful spaces where I know I will argue people down if necessary. Um, but the thing that I think that Julius was like trying to educate me on, he was like, he's like, sometimes, because I'm very disconnected from my father's side of the family. So he was like, I think one of the things that you don't recognize is just the ability that he's like he's like the way that I want to say this right because I don't want to misquote him. He says stuff so it'd be so perfect, eloquent. But pretty much he's like, there's a part of you that is constantly forgiving. You're constantly in this like forgiving, like turn the other cheek kind of energy. He's like, but there's also the side of you that's very prideful. He's like, and also, I want to say this part too. My birthday, December 5th. My sun sign is a Sagittarius. My moon sign is a Gemini. My rising is also a Gemini. So I am split down the middle on a lot of things, right? So with that, I feel like I play a lot in the gray area where I respect the left and the right. I respect that some things are yes and some things are no. But also, since I respect them both and I have to uphold them all the time, how do I stay in the middle? How do I get in the middle of that? How do I get in the middle of that? So I'm learning those things about me too, right? And I think that we all have the ability to learn those things about us. Like how is it that we show up for ourselves when we're in private? How do we show up for our primary relationships? How do we show up for work relationships? What truths do we allow to come out in those spaces? What truths do we deny when we are it's a good question. Do I be denying my truth? Where do I deny my truth? I'm gonna sit with that one for a little while. But I'm just recognizing these things, right? And I want to make sure that as I'm growing in my relationships, that I'm trying to heal the relationships or the narrative that I put on my past relationships, so that I do not move into the new relationships with similar vibrations, or with vibrations that keep on pulling from the past. So here's what I'm learning. I know that when I first started dating Julius, I was afraid of being open, like in an open relationship with him. And it's because my relationship prior to that, I felt like I was trying to do that with that person, but they weren't in a position to be completely honest and open with me. And in that, I dealt with a lot of like immaturity in him, which created a lot of immaturity in myself and amplified immaturity that already existed in me. And it put such a bad taste about it in my mouth that I just I don't know. It shut me down a lot when I thought about, because I don't even think the phrase polyamory was in my mind yet. I just knew open was kind of like, we're together, but I know we fuck around with other people sometimes. We're honest about it, right? We're telling each other. Anyway, so because of that relationship, I think that it made me immediately be like, I don't want that. I don't want to do that no more. Whatever version of that exists, I don't want to do it. But I think that Julius at the time was very, like, he was like, no, we could be monogamous. I don't even know did we talk about monogamy immediately? I know he was kind of kicking it with somebody, and I think at the time, like, there might have been people that I was talking to, but I'm just kind of one of those people that when I'm attracted to you, I'm attracted to you. Like, I'm trying to invest my energy and my time in you for the most part. At least that's how I was in my early 20s. I'll say that for sure, because I've shifted in my 30s for sure. For sure. I
what was I talking about? Hold on. Attraction, Julius, monogamy. Um, I think that I definitely made sure that we were like in a space where it was like, are we exclusively together? And we are at that time. But I also remember the conversation of, okay, I know you like women though. Like I remember him directly telling me, like, I know you like women. It's like, and I'm attracted to women that like women. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't really need that energy right now. It's not really what I'm looking for. I'm kind of just looking for someone to build with. Like I don't have to have that thing amplified in me right now. I don't need that thing to be like, I don't need that thing. So we just focus on building with each other. And I recognize that through that relationship, we became best friends. And as we got to Vegas, 2 years into the relationship, we moved to Vegas. And when we got to Vegas, by then I was really like, nah, I'm definitely bi. Like I miss women. So we started to have more of those conversations of like, okay, well, what do threesomes look like for us, right? And that was where it was like, okay, well, let me. I think initially I told him to like pick women that he was attracted to, but then I recognize it, and a lot of men who've been in these relationships will agree. You got to let the women pick the women. So you make sure that you make her feel as acknowledged as possible, especially when you're coming out of monogamy, right? Like traditional monogamy, and women are going through this space of needing to control every single thing. I think that I was coming out of that space of like recognizing I don't want to have to control this. I feel it. There was a part of me that felt that, but there was also a part of me that was like, you can't be this. You can't be this and this. So I'm saying this part to say, from early on, I recognized that I've had control issues when it comes to our relationship, and I've wanted to heal those from early on. So as we move through this, I have dealt with those control issues where we do have spaces where it's like, no, what do you want, Julius? What is it that you want? Are you attracted to this thing? Okay, I don't completely understand it in my body. My body does have some rejection to it, but also, how do I accept this part of you? How do I make this part of you feel more acknowledged? So I think that's where we started to move into swinging. And even in these spaces, when I think about swinging, all of these things I really have to sit with because I'm acknowledging them, but it's like also, hmm, the argument that I'm currently having with myself is how much of me moving into a sexual polyamorous dynamic is for me and how much of it is for control of my relationship. So I don't want to do too much like explaining all of my backstory when I know that like right now my point of frustration and my point of pure, I recognize, hmm, okay. You know when you argue with somebody and like, well, I guess most people don't unfold their arguments while they're live, but I also wanted to be honest with myself. But I'm having moments where I argued. I wasn't arguing. I guess I kind of was having a conversation with Madam Gumbo, and you know, she tried to get me to acknowledge that there may be some spaces in myself where I'm not being completely truthful. And it's not because I'm trying to lie to myself, it's just I'm not in a space to acknowledge those things yet. So I want to make sure that like I said, I want to make sure that when I'm shifting in relationships or when I'm creating spaces for people to change how they feel, that I'm taking responsibility for that. So part of what she said to me today that is like really sticking with me is
Um, I feel like a part of me really wants privacy with Julius. And I don't know if that's just because of how much I have had to share with him about him with the world and with like people who do get close to us. And I feel like because we've both been in a space where we're constantly trying to save people that we love or help people that we love. I don't want to keep using save. That's stupid. We tried to help people, or we successfully helped people that we loved, but it also took away focus from ourselves. So, um, because of that, I feel like I haven't really had a lot of time where we were together uninterrupted. Like it's usually for work or for it's for things, and I just feel like there's not a lot of downtime. And I think Chance the Rapper has a song called "Smoke Break," and it describes this perfectly. But it's that you're constantly in the go and you're constantly in the creation magic of everything. That there's not a lot of, or you're like constantly trying to make sure that you're creating the money for the next part, or all of these things that I just feel like there's not a lot of downtime for us. So I think that when I got to Mexico, my ultimate goal was to just learn how to have downtime with him where I didn't have to over involve other people, or I didn't have to feel like my desire to have him to myself was challenged. Um, or that whatever we were both being called to do was greater than our love for each other, right? So I wanted that when I got here, but then I think another version of myself or a version of Julia showed up that was like, what's going on with polyamory? Like, what's going on in this space? And in my body, I was just kind of like, I need a fucking break from this. I need a break from trying to figure out love with multiple people. I'm still trying to figure out love for myself. Like, but so Madame Gumbo is an incredible educator. There's so much science behind her that I can go into, but I talk about her a lot in other videos. So if you want to get to know her, you can research that. But she's incredible. She's been my friend for 5 years, and I'm so proud of our relationship. I'm so proud of how we are able to be so honest with each other. She's a fire sign. I'm a fire sign. We began fucking. Like, just, we have fun together. Like, and I don't even mean that on sex stuff. I mean that, like, in conversation. I mean that in, like, just opinions about outfits or about, like, anything. She's just a really cool person to be around. So it's like, I love being around her. So when we got here to Mexico, I was just like, oh, fuck. Like, close proximity to anybody for any amount of time, it don't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. So we ended up moving across. We crashed at her spot until our apartment was ready, and our apartment across the hall. We ended up getting an apartment across the hall from her. So it was like, for initially, it was like, this is a really great idea because we're both like fresh. She had only been there for roughly 2 or 3 months before us. Before we moved to Mexico. So she was also like transitioning in a space where it was like, I'm new here too, and I'm just trying to figure out how this shit works. So we're both growing in a new country together for the first time, living outside of America. So I think that, I don't know. I wanted to explore with people. I wanted to be outside with people, but because she was always there, it's like, let's go find out what we doing. Let's go do something new. That line can get crossed so easily. Have y'all ever fucked your friend before? I fuck a lot of my friends, and I think that's I think that could be problematic depending on who you're talking to. If somebody thumbs up that. But also, and this is why I love Madame Gumbo, because she understands his perspective. Sometimes fucking your friends can be problematic when you don't know how to have communications afterwards. But sometimes fucking your friends is the best thing. You don't want to fuck people who you can't be friends with, right? So it's like also recognizing that part of like, okay, well, what part of this is whatever. What I realized in doing that was I created a mixed signal for me when I knew that I wasn't in a position to want that, but I also recognized that I
I amplified something in Julius that he needed. So this is the part that I really want to get into today. Like, it's hard getting here because I have to acknowledge myself first. So I make sure I take my responsibility in this. But what I realized that is, it's hard to talk about because he's not here, but I'm gonna hopefully get him to talk about this in the future. What I realize is this: I'm with a partner who is very active in his sacral energy. I recognize that. And I feel like sometimes because I'm active in my sacral energy when it comes to my workspace, I feel fulfilled in how poly I have to be. I know that I have multiple relationships, right? I know that by being on live and having like all of these sexual relationships with people and getting to know people and like getting to know their desires and their inner workings, I know what that creates for relationships. And I know the stresses that what I'm trying to get to in my immediate future is learning how to be the partner who can hold complete compersion for my partner, right? Now we can get into definitions in the near future, but compersion is pretty much just the ability to fully be happy for your partner's happiness, however that looks, even if it doesn't include you. Especially when it doesn't include you. Can you hold space to love them in that? And for a lot of people, I feel like that's super scary. And for me, it's scary. I'm not even gonna act like that's not a scary thing for me. So much of my relationship with Julius has been us learning how to survive through like really hard moments. Detroit is not an easy place to survive and shift out of, but we did. So it's like that at the time that we were there, I do recognize that I needed a version of him to be available. But once we shifted out of that and got to Las Vegas, it amplified sex energy for us, right? And it put a lot of truths and fetishes and kinks and inner workings of sex that we never got to learn in school. It put that into our mindset and it got us in a position to like start playing in those realms, going to the green door and going to AVN and things like that, going to all the sex shops that they had across from all the casinos. It puts you in a space to really challenge where you are sexually and if you are challenging yourself in sexuality. So I do recognize that part. And I also recognize that now that we're in Mexico, we are now healing from a lot of versions of our past self and our generational shit. So it's like, what part of him am I not allowing to grow? And I feel like a huge part of it is recognizing that I'm still dealing with some spaces of feeling like that is my partner and I don't want to share him all the time. And the argument that I'm getting now is, but bitch, if you are truly accepting of him being a version of him that he wants to be fully, you can't control any of this. Like, you have no real say in it. And I'm fighting that. I can feel me fighting that. And it's like, well, what's the point of us agreeing to being together in this way if you can challenge that by saying, I can fuck him if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like, such a hard. Let me rephrase that because I don't want that to be taken out of context. What I'm realizing is, I'm in a relationship with someone who I've been with exclusively vagina. I got ate out by a couple of people, and yeah, that's pretty much it. But when it comes to male energy penetrating me, have I even had a finger by somebody? Someone else finger me? Exclusively my vagina has just been Julius's for 12 years. My face hasn't been. My fingers or whatever. Like, I'll be doing stuff with other people. But, with that being said, I think that because I haven't really done a lot of experimenting myself, I'm still in this. How is that true though? I don't know. Some of this I feel like I'm not completely privy to how I feel on it, or I'm not. There's some. You guys have any opinions on the things that I'm talking about right now? Thank you so much. I see the hills of Zion. Thank you. Do you actually love me, or did you just want me to shout you out?
Who's in here still? How do I see who's in here? Let me start playing with buttons while I'm over here talking all my shit, talking y'all life out with my life story. But I wanna, I'm talking. It only says mixers in here. It's only the comments. People who've commented I can see are in here. But no, it doesn't let me see nothing else. It lets me change. It lets me change some shit. That's outside. I'm in my studio downstairs right now. Oh, okay, that's cute. I don't know what this one is. Retouch on. I don't want that. Okay, let me turn that off so y'all can see my face. Hi. Microphone on and off. Okay, that's it. That's all the buttons that I have on this side. Let me see. I can start a poll. Let me see. How many people have ever fucked their friends? Have you ever... Let me see. Have you ever fucked your friend? I need you to spell right. Why are you not autocorrecting? Fuck your friend. Question mark. Yes or no? Period. Okay. Hi. Okay. So this is the part that I was talking about. I am realizing that I'm in a part of my relationship where, and I don't want to speak for him, but I can tell that Julius can grow with other women. But I'm in a position where I'm like, do I want to grow like that? Do I want people to have that level of access to you? But I want to make sure that I'm not being unfair because I still, how do I explain this so that you guys don't think that I'm hypocritical? Because it's not him connecting with other women. It's not him fucking other women. It's not him kissing other women. It's not him spending time with other women, taking them out. I don't feel any of that. It's the level of, I don't know how I feel if he literally starts to build another relationship with somebody. Like, what would I feel like if he went traveling with another person? I think that's the part of polyamory that I'm struggling with, right? And I know that there's layers to this, and I don't have to do all one version. That there are baby steps to this, and I would be fine with that. But the partner that I'm building with right now is in a position where they want all of it, and I recognize why it would be unfavorable of me to deny that. But it's also like, but now I feel like I'm being rushed through a process. So I think I'm down here to reflect and come to an honest decision on what parts of me are truly healed and what parts of me are still really cynical and controlling. Does that make sense? Hi, how are you? I need some lip gloss. My shit is dry. My shit dry. But yes, I'm hoping that I start building a relationship with y'all to where we can have these types of conversations and you don't think that I'm a psychopath. Mostly because I recognize that sometimes how I deliver things, it's very free in thought, and sometimes the thoughts aren't fully complete. Sometimes they are. But I just feel that we're now in a shift where relationships and how we use our sex energy is really important. And I want to make sure that I'm having those conversations as someone who is a conduit of sexual pleasure for so many people. I want to make sure I'm having those conversations that make you acknowledge that. Like, how are you using your sex energy this year? but I don't want to be the type of person that's asking you those questions if I'm not also challenging myself. So as we move into, this serpent energy in this new year, I am challenging myself. And I think that in my relationship, I'm always challenging myself. I'm always putting myself in spaces where I have to ask myself if I'm comfortable or I'm not, or can I deal with him in this level or this version of him that doesn't involve me. The year of the snake, correct. For sure. So yes, as our friend Mixer just said, we are moving into the year of the snake. We're just a couple days away from it. We're already in it. We're already feeling like we have to create something, like things, creation, building new things, and what's the next stage of your life. We're already feeling all of those energies, right? It's already on us. We can tell with what's happening in the world. So I want to make sure that I'm affiliating that part of making sure people stay responsible with that. I want to include that in my work this year. But I think that one of the spaces where I was challenged in my relationship was thinking that I wasn't brave enough to say these things, or to tell people that I struggle in relationships too. I don't want people to think that just because I can get naked in front of the camera that I don't struggle in other relationships. I do, especially now that we are trying to grow in a bigger way. Adding people to your relationship is scary. And also, sometimes people add to the relationship because they want to keep their relationship. And I just want to make sure I'm not one of those people. I don't want to do something out of fear of losing someone. So I think I'm going to have these lives when I start to feel these moments. Just so I can come back and make sure that I'm not lying or I'm not changing the story. So, but I realize that in all of us, we all have the potential of loving multiple people at one time. That's a fact. Y'all are doing it right now, even if you don't realize it. I think that where we got fucked up on this planet was how they told us that it was supposed to look. When they started to depict that this is what relationships look like, and this person and this gender and when that stuff started to get declared, I think that it really put us all into a space of fear of trying new things and doing it without needing anyone's permission. Now I feel like most people need permission for everything. And even with me, I feel that sometimes. So again, I'm not saying anything that I'm not healing from. This is something that I am saying because I need to hear me say it. But I want to be in a space where I'm accepting of Julius in whatever space he comes to me as. And I feel a truth in saying what I'm about to say. If he wants to love other people, I want to be in a space where I can accept what that looks like, even if it I don't know. Wait. That's not, let me say this right, because I'm a manifester. You guys know what human design is? I forgot what my profile is. I got to pull it back up. But in human design, I'm a manifester. So I recognize that I could pull some shit into the world. So I do my very best to be careful of what I say and how I say it, because that should be coming to life. You hear me? Like, I've been saying stuff this week, or just in the last month, I will say something, and the next day I'll be like, oh, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Watch your fucking mouth. So I'm working on that. I'm working on not saying things I don't truly mean. But what I want is to be in a relationship with my partner where I can accept him for who he is. And I do not want to put my implications on him of what I want for him. I don't. I want to I want to love him. And I want to love whoever comes into my life that needs my loving. But I don't know what that looks like. And right now, I think I'm struggling with figuring out how that looks. So the conversations I'm having right here, I wonder how many of you have them with yourself. I wonder how many of you are like just struggling to get into one relationship. And what that is it a communication error? Is it you not telling your truth? Or you being afraid that if you tell somebody that you want to be with her, but you also have a relationship over here, that could be problematic? Are you married? You know what I mean? Can I get someone to say something to me? I got 2 votes. Let me see what these votes say. What? 2 votes said no. Wait, let me get a. How old are y'all in this space? I'm really hoping. I should have put this thing on 18 and up. Okay, well, all right. Let me see. Let me move that. Anybody else in here that want to say anything to me before I start to narrow my conversation down? Okay. What are my wrap-ups today? What are my final words for today? My final words for today are... What are my final words for today? Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate your acknowledgement in that statement. I think I am in a position right now in my relationship where I do want to explore. I do want to figure out what relationships look like for me, and not necessarily always have Julius in the room, right? Because I feel like that's been the pattern as of late. Like where all the relationships that we have them together. All of my friends become his friends become mine. So I think that this part of where we are in Mexico is learning how to have friendships outside of each other, and seeing what the extensiveness of that is. Does that mean us fucking other people? I think that's also the hard part for me. It's like I don't really want to fuck other people that I'm not growing with fully. There's so many arguments in this where I feel like I'm not done with this. This conversation is still open. Let me see. Hey, guy, I want you to celebrate my 20. What? Boy, you don't know me. Don't jump in here and try to get me to go someplace with you. I don't even know you. You don't even know me. You don't know nothing about me. What you know about me? Tell me something you know about me. And not just something that you saw in a video. What's something that you truly know about me? Anything? Can you tell me anything? No? I'll wait. Yes. I am doing my best to be in a space where I am not dictated by social media. I would like to be in a space where I can show my relationships honestly. I would like to be in a space where y'all are accepting of whatever narrative comes from that. So, again, I am stuck in a juxtaposition of what I want and what other people that I care about want. And I'm trying to figure out how everyone gets what they want without breaking something else. So, however, what I've been educated on today is, trauma's gonna happen, It doesn't have to always happen. And if you can avoid it, that's great. But sometimes, not trauma, triggers, being triggered will happen. As I was reminded today. So when you're in the space of being triggered, what do you want to do with that energy? Do you want to bury it again? Do you want to act like, this isn't a thing that has power over you every time it comes up? Or do you want to acknowledge it and transmute it so that you don't, when it comes up in the future, it doesn't remove you from where you are so much? So I'm trying to figure that part out so that I can grow in this next stage of polyamory with Julius. Is which parts of me really get triggered by building with someone else? And also, what parts of me are blocked from growing with women? I think that was another big key for me today, too. There's a lot of parts of me that are super blocked from growing with women. And I can trace some of that back immediately. But I think it's some deeper stuff too that she was saying, like, you have some shit, like your mom, your grandma have some shit where they have issues with like growing with women, building with women. And I really don't want to have that issue in my life. Like, so I'm trying to make sure I'm going through all my past relationships in my mind. And I'm just like, where did I drop the ball with that? So I can hold responsibility for that. Still, I want to be in a space where I'm responsible. My name is Xavier, and I've seen your videos before. Okay, but my videos are not who I am fully. You know that, right? You know that I exist outside of my videos. Do you know anything outside of my performances? Okay, well, I think that I spewed all of my honesty on here today as much as I possibly could. And I've also done my best to make sure that any information that you might need is already listed on my About Me section. So if you need to find me in other spaces, please do. But this is my hop in to be incredibly vulnerable and be incredibly transparent about where I am. In a relationship, been in this relationship for 12 years. I've been a sex worker for the last 10 years of that relationship. I have played with threesomes and foursomes and eightsomes and all those other things with my partner and outside. I mean, yeah, for work and for my private life. And I think that even though in those relationships I was trying to hold space for loving everyone at the same time, this is the first relationship that I'm in where I feel fully challenged by the other person, which I love. I love that she's showing up in a way where she's not afraid of me. She's like, anything I say, she's willing to like fight me on if she doesn't agree with it. I think that that's important to have that in your relationship. But sometimes having that too much can be super exhausting. And I think that that's also kind of like where my argument is like, how do I know when too much is enough, or when enough is enough, or when and I don't want to say too much because I don't feel like it's too much. I just feel like I'm having a hard time with balancing what I want with other people's wants and desires. So the last 4 months that I've been missing has just been that. It's been me just kind of checking back in with myself and like really trying to rediscover what I want for me. Because so much of camming and so much of like content creation is definitely submerging yourself into other people's needs for themselves, right? Whether it's like me being the dom and not allowing the gratification, it's still something that I'm building for other people. And I get that the exchange, of course, is currency. Of course, my time is money. Like, I get that part, but sometimes it is, well, I guess that's why it's shifting this year. I just have to be more selective with the projects I take on. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, I see a comment in here. Hey, guy, what's the... No, I'm not doing that. Please relax. Please relax. Don't be that person. Don't do that to me. Don't put me in that position. Why you delete it? Take responsibility for what you just did. That's what my whole life is about. Taking responsibility for what you put into the world. You can't retract shit like that. That's not okay. You put that energy on me and then you try to leave. Don't do that. Don't do that. You better acknowledge your shit. Don't be running away from your shit. Okay. I gave y'all everything that I have in that moment. I hope it was helpful. And if it's not, it's going to be helpful for me. That's it. If you have any questions, I'll be back on here probably tomorrow. Thanks. Love you. Bye.